This presentation is another story of Christ's visits around the world. This is called The Sacred Waters of Vira Cocha. The book that we have been reviewing is He Walked the Americas by L. Taylor Hansen. Of course, the book was compiled in the mid-20th century by the Hansens, who are a married couple not affiliated with any church. It was pointed out in a previous video there is a sub-theme emerging of many cultures exhibiting a disdain for their Messiah when he does pay them a visit, and they seek to murder him. This brings to mind some of the scriptures in the Bible, such as in the book of Revelations. It is prophesied that two witnesses will emerge who torment the world with the truth of God before finally being stoned to death. Revelation 11:3, King James Version. And I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth, and devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have the power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over the waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues, as often as they will. In the story of Vira Cocha, the people were very sad after realizing they had almost killed the prophet, or at least they had tried to, causing him to leave. The waters of Vira Cocha is the follow-up to the story that was presented in a previous video. After the prophet had gone from Cocha and walked away on the trail of the moonlight, the people began to retrace their footsteps. Warily they camped for the night on a mesa, and then during the early morning began their long return to the city with its vanished priesthood and its unfinished temple. Sad indeed was this walk of the people. They kept saying to one another, "Why, oh why, did we not know him? Why did we listen to the priesthood? Why did we let the army surround him?" To these questions they had no answer, but they urged their crying children onward and dragged their tired feet homeward. Then came the great disappointment. The Apurimac River, never known to lessen the flow of its clear water, was dry. The people of Cocha were stricken. This was the displeasure of the Great Spirit. What would they do for water? Dismayed and distracted were the people, and seeing their parents' confusion, the children were doubly distracted. For each dry spring was an added witness to the wrath of the Almighty. They held a meeting and spoke of many plans. The wisest argued to keep on walking toward Cocha. If death waited for the people, why not near their own city? Yet, as they came to the place near the place of lightnings, they broke into lamentation. Spirits crushed, they huddled together. All the springs were dried and dusty. All the streams were empty. Truly now, they knew that they had offended, for each dry spring was an added witness to the wrath of the Almighty. That night the people chanted together, an olden chant from days long vanished. It was the fourth night of their long penance, and they had little hope for forgiveness or continuing life. Upon some of them had come the thirst madness, and 4 had died for want of water. Most desperately the little children suffered. Now in their chant they asked not for forgiveness, but only for help for their suffering children. Suddenly in the east rose the star of the dawning, and a luminous being stood among them. His hair and beard, touched by the moonlight, were rippling streams of burnished silver, and his white robe seemed to be made of moonbeams. In one hand he grasped a long staff. This he raised and thrust deep into the lava. A fountain of water sprang up, bubbling and tumbling its way among them. In a moment they had fallen into it, soaking the water into their garments, crying and laughing as they felt it splash over them, carrying hither their shrunken babies. Cool water! It brought life to a dying people. Then the people thought to thank him, but he was not there. He was gone, as much as if he had been but a dream of the imagination. Yet the water was there, splashing, singing, shining its way through the fields of lava. They called it the Fountain of Vira Cocha. Some say to this day that perhaps his returning was but a dream of the thirst madness. Yet most of the people only say that his great staff brought the water of life to a dying people. And in all Peru no stream is more holy than the sacred Fountain of Vira Cocha. Through the ages, from that day this spring has been worshipped. Here came the mighty Inca, ruler of 100 nations. Here, where the waters reached a depression, the monarch had a large dam constructed so that a blue lake would sparkle, filled with the sacred water. About this lake was a wall of great stones, 8 feet high and 6 in width, and at one end a giant structure. For some 300 feet ran this temple, its breadth 87 feet, its walls in tiers of 20 feet each, rising 12 tiers, with many windows which had wooden sashes. 6 courtyards stood before the temple, each surrounded by 6 buildings, 2 on each side, 2 on each of 3 sides, leaving the 4th side open to the lake. These buildings were made of unhewn lava, with well-fitted windows, all well cemented, the 2nd story of stucco and painted purple. Beyond these buildings were others, some of circular stones, and beyond these walls were still other buildings. Above the courtyard stood a giant statue of Vira Cocha, seen and described by the Spaniard Garcilaso. The statue was of a man very lofty of feature, with long curling hair and a flowing beard. He was dressed in a cassock, not unlike those of biblical times, and behind him walked a chained tiger. Gone today are the buildings with the slanting roofs and the statue of the prophet. Only ruins remain of the lovely temple. But if you should go to the river Vilcanota, flowing between Cusco and Lake Titicaca, you may find the town of Cocha, which was once known as Cocha. Beyond the town, on the right bank of the river, near the volcano of Harache, is the sacred spring of Vira Cocha, splashing its way in gurgling music through the lava to a large artificial lake. Please like and subscribe to this channel. Please comment if you have insights on the video. Thank you for watching.